Hi, Jeremy.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm doing great.
I'm thrilled beyond belief that you took your precious time. You're at a beautiful resort there, taking some downtime. You're just like me. Somebody says, Beth, can you? I say yes before they finish, and that's exactly what you did. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you.
Anytime for you.
Well, thanks a bunch. So, we wanted to talk today about staffing. You know,
Mhm.
it seems to be, to me, I mean, and I know you're out and about a ton. I should tell who you are. This is Jeremy Hoyum. I just think everybody knows you already, right? Jeremy Hoyum is the managing partner at Jakes Unlimited in Mesa, Arizona. And Jeremy is a dear friend. He's a great leader. He's let Trainertainment come alongside him and work with his team. He's got a great team. We helped hire a bunch of that team, as a matter of fact, I'm proud to say. They did a big rebrand, remodel, and I guess we've been working together two and a half years, Jeremy.
Been about 2.5 years now.
And the big news is, if I could have a drum roll, please, Jakes Unlimited was recognized as top FEC of the world for 2018. So I thought you would be a good one to come on and to talk to people about what you face when you're hiring the front line and kind of your big worldview. You know, you and I talk a lot about values and what inspires you and what motivates you to do what you do. And so I'd just love to hear what you think on Think Tank Thursday.
Well, kind of along the lines of what you were just talking about, that top FAC of the world had absolutely nothing to do with me and all to do with the team that I have that is way more talented than I am. So they deserve all the credit for that because they made it all happen. We've had a lot of discussions, but kind of it all boils back down to my philosophy and how I've been really looking at things is that, when Simon Sinek talks about starting with why, having that mindset in everything that you do really helps you get to where you need to be. It helps you focus on the things that are important. And when you're talking about hiring, for us, I kind of have a little bit of a unique situation, or maybe it's not unique, but I want to say about 5 or 6 months ago, I was kind of taking a step back, trying to appreciate what we've accomplished at Jakes, and really just kind of looked at who was on my team. And I noticed that 5 of my top performers were all foster kids, or had grew up in the foster system. And so, a little bit of my story, you need a little bit of my backstory to kind of understand where I'm coming from with it. And I whenever I tell this story, I always preface it with, this is not a contest, I guess you would say. Everybody's awful times are their awful times when they're in it. And so I know that people have been through worse things than me. But it's my frame of reference. So, for me growing up, family was an F word. I know you've heard me say that a bunch of times one of our core values for our company is we treat everybody like family. But for me, it truly was. Both my parents were alcoholics. My dad was bipolar. He overdosed and died way before he should have. And it was an experience that I went through, and so it was a very tough childhood. And, there was a time that I contemplated suicide, and then straight from there, I joined the military, found a new family that I felt was more healthy. When I was stationed in Korea, I got malaria. And so I ended up being sick for 2 years before they figured out what was wrong with me. And if you can imagine how they treat you in the infantry when they think that you're faking, because that's what they thought I was faking because they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. It was a really dark time, And so for me personally, coming out of those situations, compassion was kind of built as a core value of me because I didn't get it. And so, you know, I've been through some things at a young age, and, you know, and I was trying to, I went up and talked to a couple of the kids that I didn't even know were foster kids at the time at Jake's, and asked them, why do you work so hard? Why is it that you choose to be exceptional every day in comparison to some of your peers? And, you know, and
Which is one of your core values.
Excuse me?
Which is one of your core values, choose to be exceptional. Yeah.
I'm determined to be exceptional. And, you know, they didn't attribute it to that, but, you know, in talking to them and, you know, hearing their story and what makes them tick and everything like that, this common denominator kept coming up. And so, you know, I go to counseling, and I have and I'm proud of it. You know, it's something that a lot of people, there's a stigma that comes along with it. But I've discovered a lot about myself, and through that, you know, have been able to share my story. But, you know, my counselor tells me every day that every time that I see her, that I should be homeless drinking out of a paper bag. You know, that's how tough my childhood was. Okay. But I chose to be different. Yeah. And but these kids also chose to be different. And, you know, the thing that was kind of like an aha moment for me, and something that I'm really trying to focus on with the young people that I get the blessing to work with every single day, is that, you know, people who have been through the fire at a young age, they've been forged already, you know? And so yeah. There's a really neat video that I found just by chance on YouTube. And it was a blacksmith who turned a really old, crappy looking wrench, and he forged it into a beautiful sword, you know?
Oh, wow. Wow.
And that was a great analogy of, you know, people who have been through the fire and what that takes, right? Because in the video, you know, they put the wrench in the fire, and then they take it out and they beat the crap out of it, and they do it again and again and again and again. And, you know, that fire and that pressure from being beat on is something that molds you into something differently if you choose to do it the right way, right? So if you go on the fire and you take it out and you don't beat on it, nothing changes except for it gets hot and cold.
Yeah.
And so, you know, this is something for me that I've seen, and you know, I have you know, I really want to see how I personally can, you know, impact and help make a difference in the lives of young people. And there aren't very many ways to do that on a big scale, but I see a need in the foster community for kids. And so, you know, mentorship has kind of gone by the wayside in the U.S., and I think it's really, really important. And so I'm
we're going to talk about mentorship next week. I have Nancy Starr as who is my mentor, who's going to come on with us at Think Tank Thursday next week, because I agree with you. I mean, I'm not a kid, and I need mentorship. You're not a kid, and you need mentorship. And
right.
Well, Jeremy, how do you go about finding those kids? Have you gotten involved in particular services? Because I have a real concern that in the family entertainment world and in hospitality in general, that we think that there's this big hiring crisis because unemployment is so low, but we're trying to hire kids that have never had a job before. In a lot of our positions, we have frontline, first-time opportunities. So when you think about how daunting that task is to take on a first-time team member, how do you rationalize it in your head? And then how are you able to directly reach out to the foster care community?
I mean, I guess there's kind of a couple of different answers to that question. You know, first off is, you know, life is perspective. And so anytime that you associate anything with a crisis, you kind of put yourself in a victim mentality. So
yeah.
instead of focusing on, you know, the objective or the problem and trying to find a solution, you kind of, I think what I've seen, and I've been guilty of it myself, is that a lot of times you end up saying that you have zero control over it by putting it into that crisis mode. And so the way that I look at it is, has hiring been more challenging? Absolutely, but it's just another problem that we have to solve. And so, you know, entrepreneurs and business managers our job is to solve problems every single day. And so then you just have to look at that. And so by me noticing something, and that, you know, the foster route isn't the route everybody should take, but it's definitely a route that could work, you know, and a lot of people don't understand that kids that are in the foster community, and specifically when they're this age, they're usually, when they're, you know, 16 and up, they're usually in a halfway house with other kids.
Right.
And so it's not a true foster family. It's a foster setting. And a lot of those people that work in the system, there are some great people that work in it, but unfortunately, a lot of the people that are in it are pretty much babysitters, the ones that are in charge of these houses. But the good thing is the government provides transportation to and from work. You don't have to worry about them showing up on time or not showing up, because you know, that's what I found is the majority of those kids are super hungry. They want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. They need to be accepted. You know, they want to learn. They want to be mentored, because they learned at a young age that it's not going to be given to them, you know, and so they have to. They're, you know, when they're 16 years old, they're trying to figure out how the heck they're going to survive in life. Yeah,
because they're about to age out.
Right. And, you know, and the unfortunate part, like in Arizona, when they age out in Arizona, they get free college tuition, but it's something like less than 5% of those kids actually take advantage of that option.
Wow.
Because they're not told about it, or because they're never given the encouragement that they can actually do it. And so it's really sad. And that's something, you know, that I think that as business owners, we have the opportunity to help influence that. It doesn't take any more effort or time to do it outside of, you know, if you truly care about your staff, you're going to have these mentorship conversations anyways. Right. But these kids really need it. And they really need to be shown that you can choose the path that you take in life, and it doesn't matter what life's handed you, you know?
Awesome.
So, but for us, so to answer the second side of that is that you talk to the organizations, you know, and I stumbled across it because we had an event for them in our facility.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
You know, and a friend of ours, you know, Michael Browning, he does free birthday parties for foster kids once a month in some of his facilities. And so those are the types of things that you build relationships with, you know, and
you connected. Yeah, that's great.
When you're specifically talking about, you know, finding solutions, all of the high schools these days have career path classes where they're required to have a job for X amount of time. And, you know, if you start those relationships, those teachers are going to be the ones that say, hey, this is a good place for you to go work. And then they come in and they actually have accountability from school, because they're going to ask you, hey, give us a performance report of how they're doing.
Right.
And so there's more buy-in instead of just a kid that's being forced to work because mom and dad are making them do it. And so getting creative in how you approach those things and create those relationships can help you. It's not the solve of everything, because, you know, kids are going to choose to go do other things. But it definitely creates another path or another funnel. It's almost a sales funnel, right? Of bringing new kids.
I think about it as like almost even attraction marketing. Like I want, and you've heard me talk about this with our business coaching clients, we want you to be the employer of choice. Right. Yeah. And that's an attraction marketing piece where people are, you know, just imagine changing that problem of I can't get enough people to work for me to I got people in line waiting to have their opportunity to come to work, because everybody's not going to stay with you forever, but we've got this short amount of time to influence and mentor. And I'm just inspired that you've taken this foster care client opportunity under your wing, so to speak, to help these kids and help business.
We're just in the beginning processes of it, you know, and so, but it's a program that I'm wanting to build. And it goes even farther than that, you know, when, you know, I've had a little bit of instability in my kitchen recently, but I want to create a food and beverage training platform where these guys can learn culinary skills without having to pay $100,000 to go to a culinary college, you know? Right. And so that
they don't have it. Yeah.
They don't have it. Right. Yeah. And that also, it creates a continuous funnel. If somebody's like, hey, I learned my skills from here, they're going to mentor kids younger than them that they can come through this program. Right. just like, Beth, we've had a ton of conversations about culture, right? And, we worked really hard to change the culture of Jake's at the beginning of when we switched from Amazing Jake's. And that's the biggest thing that you can do to fix any hiring problem that you have, is because when you look at the people who do it right, who are your staff leaving you for?
Right.
They're leaving you for In-N-Out Burger. They're leaving you for Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
They're leaving you for Starbucks.
Right.
And a lot of those bigger companies have a bigger pool of, monetary benefits that they can give. But the reality is they're creating work environments where they want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you get those great people, and you're not just paying the lowest because you can pay the lowest and you just assume it's an entry-level job, but you're actually valuing the people that work with you, whether it's monetarily. There's things that you can't really do to control that at a high level. But if you have them believe that they're a part of a family and that you're interested in their growth as a person, not just what they can do for you for a company, they're going to attract the same people that they hang out with.
That's right.
And that by itself can keep the pool of people coming into your facility.
Well, and that they match, that you're in alignment. They believe what you believe because you've been able to clearly articulate. If you want to work at Jake's, you have to be determined to be exceptional. Like those are the only kind of people that get to work there. You got to understand that this is about family. So we do, care and
right.
do all your values if you want. Well, you've also got a mission to help returning veterans, and obviously with your own experience in the military, you have a connection there. And what are you doing? What are you doing today? What do you want to do in the future with regard to veterans?
Well, it's obviously it's a sensitive spot in my heart. I'm in the beginning stages. I have a vision right now of something that I want to do.
Yes.
And so I am really looking for a way that we can help transitioning veterans. We're kind of in a spot with this new, crop of veterans that are coming out of the military where, if we thought that Vietnam was bad, in terms of the guys coming home, struggling, with the things that they experienced, this is the longest war we've ever been in. It's a lot more brutal. We're just in the tip of the iceberg of guys that are going to need help. And unfortunately, the VA and the government doesn't do a good enough job in helping with that. Once you leave the military, it's see you later. I mean, don't get me wrong, the VA has programs, but they're not actively reaching out to help people. And, unfortunately, because of the macho mentality and the no cry mentality of what happens in the military, guys are very reluctant to reach out for help. And so my vision is that almost like another form of a mentorship program is to help these guys who are transitioning into becoming business owners. And so I'm looking at starting a coffee concept where I don't know if I should use the name yet because I haven't, haven't had an agreement with them yet. But a franchise where, I'm going to hire veterans that are coming out as my GMs, and with the plan in 2 years for them to buy the majority of the company from me. And so, from a biblical, term of teaching a man to fish,
Yeah.
that's where I want. And I want them to own and have a new purpose in life and to, be able to transition in a healthy way. And I think that that's the way that whoever's on my team can help accomplish that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Jeremy and I have a kind of standing gate and visit on Saturday mornings, and he was visiting with me about this a week ago, and I was just like, oh, we gotta tell the world, we gotta put that out there, because it's one thing. Lots of people dream, lots of people dream, and then there's a handful of doers, and you're one of those, Jeremy. You're a doer, and I think you have great vision, and I love knowing about it, and am excited to see where you are to go and how you'll grow because I know as you do that, you will impact many others. And I think that that's the power of being in GM and ownership roles, is that whatever you're doing, you are impacting and you are affecting a lot of young lives. And I think
specifically with veterans.
Oh.
Specifically with veterans, they have so many skill sets that people don't understand, or they can't correlate to civilian life, right? The leadership, the discipline, the never quit attitude, you know, the problem solving on the spot, the ability to take action in high intensity situations. And you're taught mentorship in the military from the time that you get in. You're helping the guy that's new coming in, and so it's just I think it's a really good fit for men and women who have served to be able to jump in and then help to influence those foster kids the same way, you know, the same way that they.
Yeah.
Right.
It all comes circle. Well, hey, it was great. I'm so glad you had. I don't promise not to invite you back again. I hope you'll keep Think Tank Thursday on your mind. I wondered if you had any thoughts about what you'd like to see talked about. And I mean, because we're going to do it every week. I'm committed to at least doing a few minutes of thinking and doing that with somebody else. I just finished John Maxwell's book, How Successful People Think, and he talked about shared thinking. And I was just delighted. I'm 4 weeks into Think Tank Thursday, and to get John Maxwell's stamp of approval on it is really awesome. And so I don't know if has there been anything that you've thought about that you're like, man, I hope they do this.
Well, you know, for me, you know, I'm always trying to work on personal development. And right now I'm really focused on, you know, how it's supposed doers. I'm glad you put me in that class. But sometimes we struggle with being present.
Because we're always doing. Yeah.
Because we're always doing. We're always thinking about what's next instead of what's in front of our face. And so I'm really focused on being, you know, learning the skill set to make being present a habit.
Present,
you know?
Good. I'm going to jot that one down. Yeah.
So that's just kind of what I've been personally working on, and then marketing success.
Oh, I'm telling you, marketing's a deal, isn't it? I'm always looking for that too. Being present, marketing. We'll ask the Facebook Live community. We were not able to Facebook Live this today. Our technology didn't work, so we'll post it afterwards. And I know you're not a big Facebooker, but if you get a chance to go out to the Train Entertainment fan page at any time, folks are asking questions. People may have questions.
And that could be her friend with him too, because I know he's global.